Sources are revealing a move that could change everything for the Eagles, my friend. A $76 million pass rusher, Pro Bowler, quarterback nightmare, cornerstone of one of the most feared defenses in the NFL, could be on his way to Philadelphia. And the name behind it all? The Minnesota Vikings just put this guy on the trade market, and Howie Roseman may already have his eyes locked in. Before I break down everything about who this player is, why the Vikings are willing to move on from him, and what it all means for the future of the Eagles, do me a favor. Hit that like button right now and subscribe to the channel, because this is exactly the kind of off-season news that defines championships. Every single move Howie Roseman makes in this window could be the difference between another Super Bowl or a season full of disappointment. You are going to want to be here for all of it. With the 2026 free agency period closing in fast, the Philadelphia Eagles front office is facing one of those classic Howie Roseman decisions. Spend big on the open market or be surgical with a trade. The edge rusher situation is very much up in the air after Jalen Phillips, who arrived as a trade acquisition, is widely expected to walk in free agency. And it was right in the middle of that uncertainty that a name blew up across the league on Tuesday. Jonathan Greenard, edge rusher for the Minnesota Vikings, is officially available for trade. The man who broke that news was none other than Adam Schefter of ESPN, the single most reliable source for NFL rumors on the planet. According to Schefter, the Vikings are now open to trading the 28-year-old. And the reason? Salary cap problems in Minnesota. The Vikings would love to keep Greenard, but the numbers simply do not work, and that financial pressure opened the door to trade conversations. When Schefter drops a report like that, the entire league listens. And you can bet Howie Roseman is listening too. Jonathan Greenard is not just any pass rusher. In 2023 and 2024 combined, this man racked up 24.5 sacks, a number that puts him among the very best edge rushers in football. In 2024 specifically, his performance was so dominant that he received votes for Defensive Player of the Year, one of the highest individual honors the NFL hands out. That same season, Greenard earned his first Pro Bowl selection, cementing the elite status that had been building since he first burst onto the scene. The result of all that production? When he hit free agency, the Vikings did not hesitate. They signed him to a 4-year, $76 million contract. $76 million. That number alone tells you everything you need to know about how the league values this man when he is operating at his peak. But here is where things get complicated. In 2025, Greenard struggled. It was not the season anyone expected from him, and to make matters worse, he underwent shoulder surgery that ended his year early. Shoulder surgery for an edge rusher is always a major red flag. That is exactly the kind of injury that can affect a player's ability to generate pressure and shed blocks at the line of scrimmage. The question every analyst is asking right now is this: was 2025 just a stumble, or is that 2024 peak already in the rearview mirror? That question mark is exactly what makes this Eagles decision so fascinating. On one hand, you have a player with a proven track record of dominance, nearly 25 sacks over 2 seasons, Defensive Player of the Year votes, a Pro Bowl nod. On the other hand, you have a rough season followed by a surgery that shut him down when it mattered most. Will the Eagles bet on his comeback? Or will they play it safe and re-sign Phillips, who already knows the system inside and out? USA Today jumped into the conversation with a piece from writer Ayrton Ostley, who named the Eagles one of 5 most likely trade destinations for Greenard. Ostley's argument is straightforward. Philadelphia may not want to pay the kind of long-term money that Phillips will command on the open market. If that is the case, using the draft capital the Eagles have stockpiled over the past few years to bring in a proven veteran via trade could be exactly the kind of move that keeps Philadelphia at the top of the NFC East. And about that draft capital, the Eagles currently have at least 5 confirmed picks for the 2026 NFL Draft, 1 in each round from 1 through 5. But here is the important detail: the league has not yet announced compensatory picks. When that happens, Philadelphia could add up to 4 more selections in rounds 3 through 5. That gives Roseman the ability to put together a package of mid-round picks to send to Minnesota without giving away his most valuable assets. Ostley made it clear that the Eagles have an advantage very few teams in the league can match: the ability to manipulate the salary cap in ways that other general managers simply cannot replicate. As the analyst put it, Howie Roseman and his staff have a track record that places them in a completely different tier when it comes to cap management. If the Eagles want to make this deal work financially, they will probably find a way to get it done. And the contract numbers on Greenard make the challenge very real. In 2026, his cap hit will be $22.15 million. In 2027, the final year of his deal, that number rises to $22.3 million. That is not cheap. But for a team that is actively competing for Super Bowls, that is the kind of investment that can make sense if the player is healthy and back to his best form. Here is where another major detail comes in, courtesy of The Athletic. According to reporter Alec Lewis, the Vikings are not simply trying to dump Greenard and move on. They place enormous value on what he brings to their defense. If a trade happens, Minnesota will demand a sizable return in draft capital, not generic late-round compensatory picks thrown together in a package. And there is more. The team that acquires Greenard will need to sign him to a new contract. We are not just talking about absorbing the 2 remaining years on his current deal. We are talking about a full extension negotiation on top of the trade cost. That changes the entire equation. Because if the Eagles have to give up quality draft picks and sign Greenard to a brand new contract, the total cost could end up being similar to, or even higher than, simply re-signing Jalen Phillips outright. Why surrender picks and negotiate a new deal with Greenard when you could just keep Phillips, a player who already knows Nick Sirianni's scheme and is fully comfortable with everything the Philadelphia defense demands? The answer might come down to upside. When Greenard is at his best, he is an offense destroyer, a player operating at the level of a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. If he recovers fully from the shoulder surgery and returns to his 2024 form, the Eagles would be adding one of the top 5 edge rushers in the entire league. That is the kind of upside that makes Roseman's eyes light up. And Howie Roseman has never taken an option off the table before exhausting every single possibility. That is who he is. The beauty of this situation is that it does not have to be either or. The Eagles can negotiate with Phillips and explore a trade for Greenard at the same time, using one as leverage against the other. If Phillips' agent knows that Roseman is seriously looking at Greenard, maybe he comes back with a more reasonable number. Roseman plays this game better than any other general manager in the NFL. The reality is that the pressure on the Eagles' defensive line is very real. Pass rush wins playoff games. Pass rush wins Super Bowls. Philadelphia's recent history is living proof of that, and with the NFC East more competitive than it has ever been, the Eagles simply cannot afford to enter 2026 without at least 2 legitimate edge-rushing threats on that defensive front. Jonathan Greenard could be that missing piece, or he could end up being a gamble that costs too much. What is clear is that Howie Roseman will do his homework, analyze every single dollar attached to this contract, and reach his conclusion before any other team swoops in and closes the deal first. So here is the question I will leave you with. Do you trust Howie Roseman to pull this trade off on the right terms? Would you give up the picks and commit to a new contract for a healthy Greenard? Or would you rather re-sign Phillips and keep the continuity going? Let me know in the comments, because this conversation is going to get very loud over the next few weeks. If you enjoyed the breakdown, drop a like. It genuinely helps this channel grow and keeps content like this coming your way every single day. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a single Eagles update this offseason, because it is shaping up to be one for the history books. Until the next one, fly Eagles fly.